You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM with Luca Zanna, and of course also on the internet. You can go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Second hour about guns and everything in between. Remember, the gun is just a tool to defend yourself, to defend your family, to defend this country, to defend liberty, okay? But it's an extension of our body. And the gun, in this case, I can say gun generically, the first thing you should have, in my opinion, it's the rifle, because that's what you use to defend, of course, our liberty and our nation, in case you have to. But it's just an extension of ourself, an extension of our soul, and also an extension of our skills. Because after all, there is much more than just a gun. You know, there are many skills. But regardless, we will go there today. The most important today I want really to bring into this hour is the new concept. I told you, I'm just a humble little local radio show that I feel always honored to be here and to talk to you guys and to try to learn from you, first of all, because I'm here. I had a chance to meet incredible people, and they gave me the opportunity to think and to learn and to do my own research. That's great. At the same time, I appreciate the opportunity that I have, not just, of course, to do it on the internet, that is still somehow free, but also on the station, in a real radio station that I understand not every really, you know, it's limited opportunity. Not everybody can jump on the station and start to talk, especially with an accent like mine and my poor grammar. Sometimes I still think, oh my God, how can happen this? But I'm here, and I appreciate it. For you, also the patience to listen to me. But now my point is this one. I really felt and I feel that we need more people, more independent broadcasters out there, that no matter what type of belief you have, the bottom line is, if you believe in freedom, if you believe that we have a sovereign nation, if we believe that we have a Bill of Rights that applies to all of us, that's for me the idea that I call you brothers and sisters. If you believe in our U.S. Constitution, that's the bottom line. Then we may have our differences that I don't care, but that's the bottom line. If you believe in these basic foundations that we're supposed to really have as roots as Americans in our Declaration of Independence, I want to help you in every way I can to at least give you, I don't know, whatever knowledge I achieve in the last 2.5 years I've been on the air, to share it with you and give you the opportunity even to have maybe a little bit of practice on my radio show, so you can launch your own radio show. I don't care if it's through a station or just maybe on the internet. But don't underestimate the internet. Today, with the internet, you can reach so many more people, even off the station. I mean, this station, this show now, I'm so humble. We're having people from almost, I don't know, Australia, New Zealand. I got people from Germany, Sweden, Italy. It's amazing. And many other states beside the area where I broadcast from. So that's the bottom line. So today, we will start this little experiment to try to help people who are here as my friends on Facebook and also as listeners to be also practicing a little bit and maybe to start to find their own niche, you know? I mean, for me, my show is called Love, Guns and Freedom. These are my beliefs, what I like. You know, I believe in love, I believe in freedom, I believe in guns. For other people, maybe be more in niche, maybe more in preparation, more in guns, or maybe more in politics, whatever you like. You know, you may find a different angle, but always there we are heading. We're heading towards liberty. Okay, let me shut up. Now, today we have this incredible guest that is not going to be any more guest. He's going to be the host of this segment, okay? And he's from another state, and he's going to introduce himself. I already had him in the past for another topic that we don't even need to talk about right now, completely different hour. And his name is Scott. Scott, are you there?
I am.
Okay, Scott. So this is your baptismal of fire, okay? Or at least baptismal with a microphone. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll shut up and you're going to start to become the host of this segment of Love, Guns and Freedom. We are in the hour number 2. Normally I talk about guns, preparation, you know the story. So I don't even know what you're going to talk. You're going to surprise me. You're going to lead with your topic and I'm going to be like a listener. Like, you know, try to understand what, maybe ask you questions. I don't know. I'm shutting up now. You got the floor. You go.
Oh, well, thank you very much. This is Scott, and you are listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM It is a pleasure to be here with Luca, and it is also my honor. It is one thing to be a very talented artist, radio personality, and all-around American, but it's another thing to take those talents and invest those in other people. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to be on the air with you, and I hope that I can definitely bring an asset to your show.
Oh, you're already doing it. I mean, you sound great. Wow. You sound better than me. I wish I had your accent. All right, keep going, please.
All right, well, thank you. Our topic today is going to be on preparation and being prepared. That's not just a concept perpetuated by the Boy Scouts, but in my opinion, it's something that's very important as the world digresses and as things become more serious, more instances of looting and things like that. It's very important that we take preparations not only for ourselves, but for our families. And there's some very simple things. It doesn't involve building a 2,000 square foot underground bunker with chemical suits and all of that. There's some very simple things that even people on a fixed income can do to help protect themselves and create a hedge of protection should there be a situation.
Very good, Scott. You know, I know that. Give us a little, I mean, it's also important. Sometimes, you know, you can learn, or we can learn a lot of things just because we have the desire to learn. So we don't need to go through some specific training or some schools or maybe some military service. But also, I know that you are a veteran. So I think that's an important asset so people can understand a little more about your background. What is your background?
I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, in the infantry. And I have been a student of survivalism and preparedness for as long as I can remember. Even as a child, I would spend the entire day out in the woods building shelters and things like that. Wow. At that time, not knowing that that was, in fact, you know, where the eventuality would lead. But I've always, you know, been into that sort of things, you know, throwing a sandwich in a backpack and just disappearing for a day or so. And then it has developed. Now that I have a wife and 4 children, wow, and we live in a very small town out about an hour and 15 minutes away from the closest major city, your perspectives really change when it's about more than just you. So you know, with what it seems like to me, we're having more and more instances of looting, rioting, storms, things like that. It seems like things are building towards this climax. And the last thing I want to do is, you know, be living under a bridge and my kids crying, wanting to know where the next meal's coming from. So that's been my primary motivation to take some very simple steps.
Wow, interesting. This is interesting. By the way, you know, I wish you, if you will continue, and I hope you will, to pursue your dream to start your own podcast or radio show, no matter where. Maybe, you know, could be one of your niches, you know, since you have that passion and your background. It's about probably learning the skills how to survive and thrive under emergency situation. I think it would be a great show. Did you never thought about the name of your show, just because we were talking about this now?
I have not. I will have to yield to your expertise on that.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm sure sometimes I get kind of creative. I don't know about an expert, but that's one of the things I do at night. I don't sleep much, and I like to think. So I will think something. Now, let's continue with the show. You got a great topic. And listeners, this is a very important information. By the way, this is not entertainment, okay? We have the opportunity to tap in the human capital. I call this like a capital, like, you know, people think, oh, I got capital, I got money. Fine, money cannot buy you out, your way out in emergency situation. Your knowledge, your skills can. So the good thing we have today, a great guest that not only spent 4 years in the service with the United States Marine, that's a great background already, but also for what he's saying is very important. He loves this topic and he's been researching and learning this. So let's get the opportunity to learn something out of this hour, because I hope we're never going to need it, but you never know. Things are already in motion. I mean, what happened the last few weeks, it's in many big cities with all this rioting and violence, and the economic collapse may be coming anytime. And this is not just a scare tactic. You know very well what the German government and also the Czech government in Europe, they've been warning the citizens, letting them know that they need to be prepared with cash and food out of the blue. That's pretty weird, don't you think that, Scott?
That's extremely telling. And if you were to go to, I believe it's the FEMA.gov. They have checklists. They have all sorts of things. They want people to prepare as well. I believe it's because they realize if there was a broad scale, not even national, but a regional event, they are woefully inadequate to take care of it. Look at Katrina. Look at Louisiana. They're overwhelmed very quickly. And so they realized that if there's going to be any semblance of order whatsoever, that people need to take simple steps themselves and have a few extra things on hand, which we are definitely going to discuss.
Perfect. So go ahead. We are here listening. Go ahead, Scott.
All right. So basically, we're going to talk about what's known as the 5 fundamentals of survival. Those 5 things are: number 1, shelter; number 2, water; number 3, food; number 4, fire; and number 5, first aid. If you cover those 5 areas, then there's very little that you won't be able to be prepared for. Now, you've heard you can go less than 3 days without water, less than 3 weeks without food, etc. The reason why shelter is above all of that, if it's 10 degrees below zero, you can have 5 gallons of water per person per day, and it's not going to matter. It's either A, going to be solid as a rock, or you're going to freeze to death by the end of the first day. So that's why we put shelter first and foremost. You need to be able to get out of the elements, especially very hot, very cold. That's why shelter is first and foremost. That can be something as simple as a tarp or a tent, something to cut down on the wind, going up to having a location that you can go to. Should you be caught in the middle of a Ferguson, Missouri style event, someplace you can go to, a friend's, a family, somewhere else, so that you've got safe shelter.
Very good, very good. So shelter is vital. That's the bottom line. No matter where you are, without that, you don't have a foundation. Please continue.
All right. Second of all, we're going to talk about water. Each person needs approximately a gallon of drinkable water per day. Now, this doesn't include if you are doing very strenuous activity. For instance, if you have to run 10 miles to get away from a forest fire, you're going to need more water because you're sweating it out. Most people don't think about if you are doing a lot of strenuous activity and it's very cold, you're not necessarily sweating as much. However, you are still going to need extra water. And that's only drinkable water. One of the things that people sometimes overlook is hygiene. What are you going to do when you have to use the restroom and you can't flush a toilet? What are you going to do to bathe yourself, to prevent infection, to prevent illness, things like that? Water is very important. Now, does that mean that you need to have an 18-gallon water bladder in the back seat of your Ford Taurus? Of course not. But there are numerous places online. A lot of stores nowadays will carry something as simple as a life straw. For $20, you can have 1,000 gallons of drinkable water just with that simple thing that will fit in a purse, will fit in a gym bag, will fit in your glove box. And that takes care of water for you. You can stick that into a pond. You can stick it into a toilet, and you'll have drinkable water right there at your fingertips. And like I said, those are approximately $20, I believe, in most places.
Yes. Yes, about $19.99 you can find them.
Right. So we're not talking about investments of thousands upon thousands of dollars. This is something that a single mother can do. Somebody on a very limited income, elderly, whatever it may be, being prepared and starting down that journey is not expensive, but it's something that you need to start right now. The day after the floods hit Louisiana was too late. The day after the forest fires hit California, it's too late. You need to act now while there's time and while, we're not in the middle of chaos. That's the time to prepare.
Yes, and also, you say something very important. $20, these filters, they're portable, they're amazing, they can do great job. And, if you have a little backpack, put it anywhere in your house or in your car. But, for any family, I see sometimes when I go out, for example, shopping, I see people still buying a lot of bottled waters. I understand that the city water is terrible. Yes, you have all these contaminants. First of all, you really don't know even what the government is going to give you, because look what happened in Michigan. They were drinking lead, okay, with the blessing of the local government. But beside that, even when everything is clear, or at least seems to be okay, you got many chemicals like chlorine that is terrible. Many other things could be very dangerous for your health, and also the flavor. So there are some great solutions, and I do not advertise anything because I'm not trying to get in pay. I don't get paid by anybody, but I tell you what I use, okay? There are two systems that I like very much. One is ProPure filtration. They're made of stainless steel. They got incredible filters. They keep all the minerals and the good stuff. The flavor of the water is amazing, and you can drink water out of mud water. I mean, seriously, out of a river, and it still would be great. So it's affordable, different packages. You can get probably the most affordable, the smaller one, for about $150. And people say, oh my God, $150? Guess what? When you buy your stupid soda out there every month, that's going to be pretty fast. If you buy bottled water, by the way, it's full of plastic and BPA stuff, and God knows only really where it's coming from, you're going to pay more. So that's a little investment, $150 to $100. With the ProPure system, you can get a great system. Do you know about any of this system? Did you ever heard about the ProPure or even the Berkey filter?
Yes, absolutely. There's Brita pitchers you could get at any big box store. Mm-hmm. Anything that will filter water. Those things are more of a home type of thing where, something like the Life Straw, you throw in the glove box of your car. If you're broken down, if, God forbid you had to walk home for whatever reason, then you're taken care of. As far as the home, yeah, ProPure, Berkey, Brita, they all make great filtrations. Did you, we're talking about tap water. Did you hear, I believe it was out west, they did a test and they found Oxycontin, they found all sorts of things in the water coming right out of the tap.
Yes, terrible. I mean, it's true. Now think about it. We got millions of people on medication, okay? And when they go, they go to the toilet and they pee, and this wastewater goes through the system and doesn't get filtrated, and it contaminates also the aquifer. So it's so bad. The rivers. I mean, so this is so important to invest a little bit in water. And I'm telling you guys, beside the emergency, you live well, you're going to live better and saving money, because that's the beautiful thing. You want to be sure you drink good water and you don't need to spend all this money out there. Okay, so you got shelter, then we got water, very important. And please continue.
And next is food. It's very inexpensive to identify canned food and other things that are calorically dense. What that means is it's not full of fluff and fillers and chemicals. Things like macadamia nuts, peanuts, rich in calories. You've got that fat that your body needs. Now, we're not talking about ho-hos and zingers. We're talking about the type of fats that your body needs and can use. So let's use the example. Let's say we're building a kit to put in our vehicle. Mm-hmm. You commute like I do. I have over an hour commute, 60 miles one way. Now, wow. The average person can walk about 10 to 15 miles in a day. Now, granted, if you had to, you could probably get up to 20 miles, but that's not very sustainable for most people. So in my case, if something were to happen, if there were to be a social breakdown, economic collapse, EMP, you name it, it would, if I'm in peak physical condition, take me approximately 3 days to get home. Now, we're not talking about carrying it in an 80-pound backpack, something as simple as a couple bags of nuts, some trail mix. You could even go protein bars. You could go as far as dehydrated food, MREs, things like that. Most stores, as an example, like Cabela's, Field and Stream, REI, any place like that, you'll find dehydrated food. It weighs next to nothing.
Yes.
And you can get 3 or 4 meals out of one package. MREs are a great source of calories. Now, what most people think is that one MRE is one meal. It's not. That's one day. That's almost 3,000 calories. Now, you figure you eat 3 meals a day at 12, 3, 6, 9,000 calories. We don't need that much. So you take an MRE, you got one MRE that weighs, what, a pound, and you've got food for an entire day. These are all things, once again, you can put in a little bag in your trunk. You can put under the seat, things like that. It's very simple, inexpensive, but it's a way to get you going. Now, let's segue over to your home. In Ohio, where I come from, if we have something as simple as the storms that have been blowing through the last couple days, no tornadoes here, but really strong winds, a lot of rain, things like that. I challenge you sometime during a storm, or even just before the storm, go to a grocery store and just watch. I challenge you to find a loaf of bread, a gallon of water, a gallon of milk, things like that in the store. Mm-hmm. Now, if people are responding like that to a simple storm, no threat of tornadoes, anything like that, winter storms, we're going to get 3 inches of snow tonight. The grocery stores are absolute pandemonium for something as simple as that. So now what happens should there be something like a Katrina or a Louisiana or something catastrophic that's not just localized, it's not just the power's out for a couple days. Now we're talking about a week with no electricity.
Wow.
What are you going to do? Because grocery stores typically only stock food for a day or two.
Yeah.
So we can't depend on going to the grocery store and getting water, food, things like that. So it's very simple. Start putting back. If you go to the grocery store, get 3 or 4 extra cans of green beans. Get an extra 5-pound bag of rice, an extra 5-pound bag of flour, sugar, you name it. Very simple, very inexpensive way, like I said, to start the journey.
Now, it's very important. Another thing also, there are some foods out there that they are so underestimated also for the, let's say, complete level of nutrition, okay? I'm not saying that it's going to be something, oh my gosh, I'm going to eat this the rest of my life. Probably you're going to get bored. But for a really affordable price, in my little research, I'm a little bit like you. I like to learn all these things, and especially I live out in the country, so I try to be self-prepare. I don't like to go to shops unless I want to go buy something particular. I try to stock up on things. One of the best secrets I found in the last few years of my research that I also use pretty regularly, it is a seed. It's called quinoa. Quinoa is Quinoa. Quinoa, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I think you know what I'm talking about. I spell it out. And it's one of the most rich in proteins vegetable that, according to a research, of course, maybe you don't want to eat that the rest of your life, as I said, but you could eat this seed, this quinoa, and it has all the 7 amino acids to make a complete proteins. So it's a very powerful, it's very good, it's a lot of fiber, a lot of minerals, and it's affordable. For example, I can get a cup, what normally using in kitchen for 1 cup, I can put a cup and cook that, and I can eat all day out of the cup, seriously. Especially if you can start to mix it around with some greens, vegetables, whatever you have, maybe a couple eggs, or even just like that. Even if you were like in a really emergency situation, a little salt and oil, that would be enough to give you good nutrition. And we're talking about in a pound, 1 pound, you can get it between $3 and $5, depends if you get organic or not. But with 1 pound of these seeds, you can feed at least 1 person for a week. Think about it, for $5, of course, you can integrate it with food. So there are a lot of solutions out there. And dry food is great, as you were saying, but you can also make your own dry food. I like to make, for example, my own little dry fruit. Or if you like fish, you can buy the little, or meat, you can do your little jerky stuff, with some dehydrator stuff, You don't even need to spend the money and do it, buying it ready to go. Talking about water, you were saying something very important that also is somehow connected with mobility. You know very well as an infantryman, one of the most important assets that we have is our foot. Our feet, they are vital. That's why normally, I'm sure you did too, you keep very good care of your foot. Tell us a little bit how important are the hygiene for our feet.
That's incredibly important. Not only, you can lose a toe, just 1 out of 10, and it takes a long time to relearn how to walk because the balance is off. Without grossing out our listeners, I was the happy recipient, not so much, of what's called immersion foot syndrome. And that's basically having wet feet that then became hot, that dried out, that then became wet, and the cycle repeats until I was able to take my K-bar and slice off chunks of my feet that had died.
Wow.
It was basically dried leather.
Wow.
And so that's why, especially on a long march or covering a lot of ground, you wear multiple pairs of socks. You keep extra socks. Yes, your feet are critical. So let's say, following along with our example of me trying to get home from work, I am now 15 miles down the journey and 45 miles from home, 2.5 days journey on a great pace, and I break my ankle.
Wow.
That could potentially, depending upon the environment and other factors, that could potentially be fatal.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, our feet and by an extension mobility is extremely important.
Very good. So that's why also important water, as you were saying, it is not just to drink, but also to keep our hygiene working, because if bacteria can grow so fast in our feet, especially if we do not change socks, and then you start to have infections and blisters. I mean, I remember, I didn't do the Marines, but when I was in the military school in Italy, one of the first things I really was trying to pay attention was my boots and my feet. Because, man, I was having so much pain the first few weeks, and I tell you, even just marching around, and I said, wow, the moment that every night I didn't clean the feet the way I had to, I was feeling it immediately. And that's one of the first things I learned. Feet are so important, because we walk and we run and we fight with those. Great job.
Absolutely.
Please continue. I'm really excited about this topic. I think you're doing a great job. Continue, please.
Right. Thank you. So number 4 in our journey to preparedness is going to be fire. That is not only for warmth, but for cooking, for sterilization of water, for if there was some medical need where you needed to, like we're talking about, hygiene. It's not only a great morale booster, but it's far healthier to be able to wash with hot water, to be able to cook your food, things like that. So fire is very important for food, for hygiene, for first aid. The presence of fire can scare away animals. If you're in the middle of the woods and you make a fire, most animals will avoid that area. So that's very important. And then as far as, having some method of fire, there's waterproof matches. You can put them in something as small as a little waterproof tube. You can put them in a Ziploc bag. You can go as far as putting a little small piece of steel wool. Make sure you separate it, but using that with a 9-volt battery will make a great fire. There's magnesium fire starters. There's as many different methods as you can think of that you can start a small fire to keep you warm or whatever the need may be.
Yeah, that's really good. I like also the magnesium bar that they're really easy to carry, and you can carry them for a long time. I mean, think about nice magnesium bars and the little sparkler. It's almost like can last you a lifetime, and could be a very incredible tool and also commodity to have in case there is an emergency. Because fire, the matches, even the waterproofs, they're great, easy to use, but sooner or later they're going to be scarce. Maybe if you have just an emergency, a few days would be fine. But when you got this magnesium bar with a little metal scratcher, you can start to do sparkles anywhere, everywhere, and it's affordable. Did you ever use those?
I have. I have one in my bag right as we speak in the back of my vehicle.
Yes, yes, I can see that, because I tell you, now you tell me that you drive every day for that distance. Many things can happen, as you said. We don't know. I mean, right now there are so many scenarios could happen, and this is not a movie. There is not like a reboot or replay button. Seriously, I mean, think about it. Even just a solar storm that could happen, like create this sort of electromagnetic pulse, and all the cars go down. Happened before here in the Southwest in 1870 something. We had all the poles for the telegraph burned. Think about it. So it's real. Please, any other thing would you like to give as advices for people that they want to start to prepare?
Well, just to kind of touch on something that you spoke of earlier, the government's job is not only to protect us, but I think that they will, in the interest of keeping everybody calm and, feeling safe and secure, they will underestimate and underplay a lot of things. So when you see countries like Germany, the Czech Republic, FEMA with the United States saying, you need to start preparing, you need to start putting things back. In my opinion, that's far stronger, because it's their job to keep the masses almost lulled into a sleep. So when they say things like that, that really drives me to action. And one of those actions is to share what little knowledge I have with as many people as I can.
Yeah. And also, I tell you, right now, it is something that it's happening at global level. That's why I like to have touch base with the listeners that they are, for example, from Germany and from other countries. And tell you, and also we can read in the news, it's happening. What happened like a few days ago in Germany was unheard, that the German government is giving these sort of warnings and hoarding cash and stocking up on food. I mean, you don't create that type of drama unless you know something's happening. And we know that there are many scenarios that unfortunately they are moving towards also global conflict. Because now we have, for example, the situation in Syria is not going away. I mean, the fact that Obama is still there and keep bombing the crap out of another ISIS, because unfortunately we know very well, and this is public record now, that ISIS, unfortunately, at least part of ISIS is being funded by this administration. But now we look at this, that could be, anytime could happen, World War III scenario. So we don't know what's going on, but we know that Germany is really putting its citizens in this sort of an emergency preparation. So the Czechoslovakia Republic doing the same. And look what happened in Italy, out of the blue in Italy just a couple of days ago, that 6 point whatever magnitude of earthquake. It created like a situation that may be natural, but still it is something that is part of the plan of what you're talking about, being prepared. I know very well, I have a lot of friends in Italy, like I have friends in the big cities, like in Los Angeles. The average person, unfortunately, it just lives in this sort of surreal world that in the house they say, okay, you need breakfast? Don't worry, we're going to Starbucks. You need lunch? Oh, we will go to the bar. And then what? At home, maybe they have a couple cans or maybe a pound of spaghetti pasta for the day. I mean, that's insane. I go in shock mode when I see things like that. I have some close friends. That's the way they live. And it wouldn't take much, as you were saying, to maybe spend a couple $100 with some basics, water filtration, maybe get 20 pounds of wheat or 20 pounds of quinoa or rice and beans, something like that. You don't need to go crazy. I mean, honestly, I like to go crazy, but that's me. But, at least to have some foundations, It's about thinking for today and be realistic. Things are happening, not can happen. They're already happening. Talking about